taking you behind the scenes of our documentary, Heart of a Building. And this week we are talking about what we did to make an hour-long presentation really move and look cool through the use of editing. So keep watching to learn more. I have been obsessed with film since I was 3 years old.
I have lots of experience in the corporate marketing video world. I started working in video production in 1995.
From the editing standpoint, I think there was a couple of things that came up. One, first of all, doing that whole storyboarding process, making sure that it was really clear. I definitely think that probably cut down on costs massively because you guys were sure Paul was on the same page every step of the way. So he didn't have to do an extra day of shooting because everybody knew what the shoot was going to be like. The storyboarding process can be tedious, but it is such a cost saving measure. What's that saying? Measure twice, cut once. Like that's what storyboarding is for your video project. Especially if you're working with a client, because you have to be on the same page. Then I think the other thing that was interesting about the edit was, and I remember having this discussion, the use of the behind the scenes vibe.
So for the first day when we shot at the church and then we shot
Which is just Erica.
No.
Oh,
This one was at Eric and Rich, yeah.
Okay.
We did have cameras just set up for the interviews.
Yeah.
Still. And then Rich was the third camera kind of getting the behind the scenes feel. We did use a few of the behind the scenes shots, but mostly just to show the two interviewees.
Sure.
We didn't capture any of us. I mean, we did, but we didn't use any of us in the behind the scenes shots.
I remember having a conversation about using that behind the scene piece. I definitely advocated for it because I tend to think it's more in vogue right now to bring that behind the scenes feel in because the authenticity of the internet, the way people are showing up on the internet is people don't want that polished look as much anymore, even though we're still, our social media posts are kind of polished. But the idea is like, let us in more, let us in more, let us in more. And I think just by showing this, you are letting them in more to the story.
Well, and that was the proof of concept part of it, is that we kind of went in. Because this was the first one, it was kind of a big experiment. So we figured, well, let's try it.
Paul didn't like the behind the scenes as much.
In the end, it didn't serve the purpose that we had thought that maybe it would, and maybe it wasn't appropriate for the right audience. But going in for the first day shoot,
Totally.
we tried it.
It may or may not work, and that's what you have to do. I mean, when you're talking about, and Paul and I have talked about the documentary since then, it's a creative process. It's never like, you go from A to B to C. It's like, well, we started A because you got to have an A before you get into B, but B is going to change everything about C. And I think I don't know if you guys wrote this in originally, but the pop-ups, how did those come in?
The pop-ups came with us basically needing a little more explanation for some of the things they were talking about, and those were Paul's idea.
Yeah,
they were Paul's idea.
It was a great idea.
It was a really good idea and not only did it provide a little more information for the audience, it gave more of a style to the video. Like it was a specific sound when they came up, specific look to the pop-ups. I will say that we learned, in addition to learning a lot about after the shoot, we learned a lot about the process of the edit too, and what we want to do differently, doing another one of these moving forward, because there's a lot of things we could streamline, I think, more.
Yeah.
I would say, I did say we had a good budget, but I would still say I don't think you give that budget to anybody else but the two of you. And me, I think I had some say in like, let's try this, that can make that video with that budget in that time frame that good. I feel that strongly about the team.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought it was awesome.
Heart of the building.
Heart of a building.
Sorry, I'm
It's
gonna
heart
make sure I
of
can
a building. Thank God. Let's see.
Start again.
That's fine. I'm just gonna get a look at my face. It doesn't look great, but hopefully.
I think it looks good.
What do you mean it doesn't look great?